Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is our monthly Lipedema Patient Roundtable, and we're in the house, and we are so glad that you are logging on and you are joining us. This is really a happy spot in every month. And let me do a quick introduction of our amazing panelists. We're so honored to have Dr. Linda Ann Kahn with us, who is a leading aromatherapist. She speaks about lipedema intimately. She knows and understands it. She has it and treats it magically, I'll say. Linda Ann, it's so nice to have you here tonight. Yay. And then Cheryl Skolich, Lipedema Diva, and also the Facebook page, Lipedema and Food Sensitivities. Cheryl always brings great insights and wisdom, and we're so glad that you're with us tonight, Cheryl, as well.
Oh, thank you.
My girlfriend, Pattie Cornute. Of course, you're all my girlfriends, I got to tell you. But Pattie Cornute of @Lipedema Fitness, she is an inspiration. I watch her workouts. I love how she leads her group with such integrity and insights. And she's got some special topics to talk about tonight and has started another live group where she's talking about stage 3 lipedema. Pattie, I'm so glad you're here, my friend.
I'm glad to be here.
The Lippy Butterfly. Hello, beautiful butterfly. We have a really insightful story to share tonight about your experience in the TSA. You have been a traveling butterfly, and we always love your spirit, your joy, and I don't know, you uplift everybody just by being here. Hi, Lippy Butterfly. And we're going to put her on the spot tonight, everybody. PGP, with a hair toss, is coming at us practically right out of surgery. She had her, well, we're going to let her tell you about it. But first, I want to acknowledge some of the awesome people that have already logged in to say hello. Cassie Grosvenor, I hope I said that right. April Sluter, hi, April. Great to have you out there. Carol Moody, our friend from St. Louis. Lanya Laval, hello, everyone. Megan Frew, Elizabeth Castillo, Marcia Witt. My goodness, Francine Schwartz. Francine Schwartz, we did a great interview with you recently, and I'm so glad you're all there. Megan, we think you're beautiful too. And look who just logged on. Speaking of beautiful, Dr. Karen Herbst, yay! I just feel like we should play applause or, you know, dun, 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 whenever Dr. Herbst shows up. We're so excited to welcome you too as well, Dr. Herbst, the leading beacon. I was looking at some chatter on social this week, and someone said, Dr. Herbst, she's our beacon of light. I hope you know, Dr. Herbst, that the work you do matters and that you're making a difference in so many people's lives. And we're so honored to have you here.
Thank you so much.
It's the truth, but we're going to put PGP on the spot. By the way, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, please put it in the Q&A. We all want to know, PGP, what the heck happened? First of all, I got to say, you said you went out there and you weren't even sure what surgery was going to happen. What the what?
Yeah, so Dr. Jamie and I have a tremendous relationship, banter back and forth. So I fully trust him, and he wanted to see how the tummy tuck healed before I came out, and he really decided what we were doing. And so my joke with him, as long as something is smaller or the boobs are bigger when I wake up, we're good. And he not only did the arms, which is what I was really secretively, not so secretively hoping for, but he went above and beyond, and he tackled the butt shelf and my saddlebags from while I was on my stomach on the table as well. Took like 9 liters out. He got 3 liters from each arm.
What?
So, and that's just from the upper arms. We didn't do the forearms because he said where it is in the forearms, it would be easier when I'm in position for the lift. And this wasn't painful yet. Like I could feel them, but this didn't hurt. This was like super, super sensitive. So yeah, we tackled the arms. We tackled, I will stand up because I know everybody's, but we tackled the.
We want to see. Like, yeah. What?
The jeans come up over it. Like, it's insane. Yeah. So
you actually said that you have some things shoved into your compression.
Yeah, I have my compression's too loose. So I have foam and there's like a ton of room in the jeans, but that was the hardest part, was packing, because I didn't know what we were working on. So I didn't know what to bring clothes wise.
Okay, when I have root canal, like I sit on the couch for the next day. You had body surgery and you're like the Energizer Bunny. I don't quite know how you do it, but right before we went live, so many of us on the panel were peppering you with questions. And I wanted our audience to hear some of the questions that had come in from even the panelists here. And of course, we'll handle the Q&A. So does anybody have a question for PGP that they'd like to fire away? Because she's ready to be put on the spot.
Just going to save my question for last because I was going to be the most outlandish here. But, you know, we've talked before about having to use bidets and different things that we have to do as lipedema ladies. My question was, do you have it easier with cleaning in the bathroom for the rear and things?
So I was super, super paranoid because since the tummy tuck, I have been using a bidet, and I was coming out here and I'm like, my booty is going to be like up in their face and I have to go to the bathroom before we start all this. But it has been easier post-op. Even with sore arms, I can reach around a little bit better, reach forward. I do miss the bidet though. You get hooked on it, but yeah, it's been easier. And another little weird bathroom side note is my back touches the toilet seat lid now when I'm sitting. There is no like couple inches of butt shelf. Like, it is gone.
Wow. You know, there is no topic we are afraid to tackle here. Thanks for starting out with the potty question, Angelique. We appreciate it because, hey, this is probably what's on other people's minds.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have first of all, someone from the audience wanted to know, what about your arm tattoos, PGP?
They look great from what I've seen. There was a couple spots like in Ursula, because there's a couple of like little steri strips on it. But he said there wasn't an actual lot of manual extraction he had to do. The nodules were pretty much smaller up there, so he was able to do a lot of lipo versus manual. But I mean, even the manual that he did on the thigh tattoo, like there's no after, like it looks great. So I fully trust that it's in place and intact. I think that'll come more into play when we would have to do the lift,
right,
and have to pull the skin around a little bit. But he knows to be careful.
And of course, you're talking about Dr. Jamie Schwartz, who has
Yes.
been a wonderful visitor on our panel here, and he serves so many women with lipedema. And, you know, we always say this in every program, everybody's journey is different and everybody's journey is valid. And not everybody chooses to go the route of surgery. And that's great if that's what you choose. Same with PGP's journey, it's hers. And we're inspired by her story and we respect and honor it. And our purpose in these panels is never to say, this is what you need to do and that's what you need to do. We're not offering any medical advice, but we believe in sharing the stories of people that are walking the walk, that you can be helped and uplifted at the same time. And that's what we're all about. Any final questions for PGP before we go on to some other? Oh, go ahead, Linda Ann, and then Cheryl.
So you were sharing with us before we started all the activities that you've done today.
Yeah.
And I'm just stunned. Are you not in pain? I mean, you're just amazing.
Seriously, I have been nonstop since about 8 this morning, and zero pain. I think I've taken 1 ibuprofen all day today. And that's just because I didn't want pain to flare up and then not be able to like manage it. But I have more energy than I know what to do with right now. It's driving me insane. I feel great. Like the lipedema pain is gone in 3 spots of my body all at once. I don't know what to do. Like, sitting actually feels better now on, I mean, like purple bruises versus the lipedema sitting. That like pain where you'd have to shift positions because the numbness, like that's gone. It's just gone.
I want to go to Cheryl's question, but I do want to ask you, Dr. Herbst, is this just PGP, or is this the way a person can expect to feel when they've had lipedema fat removed?
I would say in part it's PGP, but I have, like I am amazed, but I have seen a lot of women come through to see Jamie for surgery, and they all do really well. And I think that's in part because of even though he uses general anesthesia, it's primarily propofol. So you come out of it rather quickly because he is using the manual lipedema extraction, which is a very gentle method. And he squeezes out everything, and then he closes all of the incision so that there's not a lot of leakage. And then I think that just women with lipedema are so knowledgeable about their bodies, and they do such a great job caring for themselves before and after. And a lot of them do the hyperbaric therapy. I don't know if PGP did that, but that seems to really be, not this time, but I think that really plays a huge role in making people that may have a harder time feel a lot better, a lot faster.
Thank you for explaining that. That's really good. Someone asked about how, and I want to get to you, Cheryl. I'm going to get to you, but what about exercising after a surgery like that? Did your doctor, say, wait a bit, PGP, or what? Is there any guidance anybody could share about that?
I don't exercise, so I never asked. I've never been a gym person, so it never even occurred to me to ask.
Okay, so that answers that question. There you go. And I hope everybody in the audience got a good laugh. I saw you really laughing, Pattie Cornute, because, lipedema fitness, we've got the whole gamut here, right?
Pattie and I are yin and yang. We've joked about this. We're a lot alike, but we are yin and yang. She's the exercise, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
And this is why I love the diversity of this panel. All right, Cheryl, what's your question for PGP?
Well, originally I was going to ask about pain, but you've already kind of covered that. So after surgery, how long does it take for you to get awake and start moving around? And after that surgery, how long before you're able to, start really moving around?
So my surgery was by the time we got into the room, we started around 3, I would say. And I got to the recovery center, I would say sometime around 8 o'clock, if I remember correctly from stuff on my phone. I don't fully remember. But by the middle of the night, by 1 a.m., I was telling the nurses, don't touch me. Let me walk to the bathroom myself. Just follow me. Wow. Because I had an IV in. So that was the worst part, really. It was I would just get settled, and then I'd have to pee again because he pumps you through full a ton of fluid. And then I had an IV in at first because of how much he took out. So at the recovery center the first night, it was every hour I had to get up and pee again. And then when I actually fell asleep and slept 2 hours, it was I'm going to pee myself. Let's go. Ringing that buzzer and hoping somebody comes in quick enough. But.
So we really do have a theme going on here, bathroom humor, perhaps throughout the Lipedema Roundtable. Thank you for letting us put you on the spot, Pale Ginger Pear. You shine in the spotlight, and for that we are grateful. I have to say also a shout out to you. Dr. Herbst had reached out to me and said, a lot of patients are concerned about how difficult or easy it might be to use pneumatic compression. And I thought, all right, let me just text PGP. Within an hour, she had produced a video that showed how she lays out her Lymphapants, how she shimmies in, how she zips it up and hits the start button in such a quick amount of time, and how easy it is. So I want to thank you also for doing that, because LymphaPress does host and sponsor these roundtables. It's so nice when we can see and show people that it's easy to use LymphaPress. So thank you for that. Dr. Herbst, question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. I was going to say, it would be great if you could put that up on a website somewhere so that we can refer patients to it, because it's kind of hard during a clinical visit to go, oh, wait, where did I put that video?
you have, before I go to bed tonight, Dr. Herbst, that is happening. We have it on our social channels, but we are going to put it right up on our website, and I will send you the link. And I will also send everybody who's registered for the roundtable the link, because seeing is believing. And if you don't have a device that's easy to use, it's going to end up in a closet and it's not going to do you any good.
And we hear that so often. And that's why, and I'm starting to, when I talk different pumps, sometimes one pump just fits better for a person, but that's the one thing I really focus on is which of these pumps are you going to use? Are you going to be able to get into that one? Are you going to be able to get into that one? And I think that's the most important thing.
It really is a game changer, and it's got to be patient focused and patient centric. We're here to serve the patient. So we got to make it easy and effective. And the proof is in the results, because if you use it, you will get the results. So good. Now, Dr. Herbst, go ahead.
I'm not graceful at all. And if I can get in easily, it is easy to use. So yeah, I was more than happy to show that, because believe me, I'm not graceful at all.
It's awesome. And then Plus Size and Proud, if you follow her on Instagram, she did like a 5-part series this past week. Were you two hanging out in Cali together?
Yeah, she's like my nurse when I'm out here. She takes care of me the first night normally of surgery, and we went swimming a night beforehand, and yeah, we hang out.
Well, she also posted a similar video about how easy it is to use. And we love that. Yeah, we sure love the nice mention of LymphaPress, but even more, we love seeing results. So with that, moving on to Dr. Herbst, putting you on the spot since I have you. And then right after that, Linda Ann, I want to go to you to talk about your far infrared light insights. But Dr. Herbst, Susan Smith is with us tonight. Thank you for being here, Susan. We want to know, have you heard of Zerona Z6 cold laser therapy? And is it safe for lymphedema?
Yeah, so I looked into the Zerona for treating patients with lipedema many years ago. So I can't say I have looked at it recently. And the company told me that it probably would not be the best thing for patients with any kind of lymphatic dysfunction. And we kind of bagged it. And I mean, I had the machine and everything, and I was ready to go. And they just left the machine with me because it's kind of useless unless you sign up and buy their packages. So I did have one patient with lipedema go and use it, and she didn't see any benefit. So they let her come back for a whole, another series of treatments, and she didn't see any benefit. And so I haven't touched it since, but maybe Linda Ann would have more comments on that.
I actually am not familiar with the Zerona, so I can't comment on that. But I have been working with the far infrared and the red light. And this is one of the ones that I'm working with, and it's called Taluma, but there's a lot of them. And it bends like this. So you put it over the body, you can put it over a knee. A lot of patients have sore knees. You can put it over a leg. And what I've been doing is doing my MLD treatment, putting it on the other leg. You leave it on for 30 minutes, and then I switch. And so what it is, it's a far infrared and it's a photomodulation. And because of these wavelengths, what it does, it actually stimulates the mitochondria of the cell. And then that stimulates the ATP cycle. It releases nitric oxide, and then it helps with inflammation and with pain. So I actually have a lot of research on it. If anybody wants it, would be good for nerves, for tissues. It's really, I've been using it after surgery. And I had one patient, the mutual patient with Dr. Herbst. She has lipedema and she has other complications too, but her legs were aching, absolutely aching. And she'd wake up at night with spasms. And I've now used the light on her 4 times, it might be 5 times. And she has reported really an improvement in her condition. So I'm going to suggest she actually gets one to use at home.
And wonderful. And I love how, just reach back there and boom, there you pull out something. You're amazing. So tell us about this infrared situation that you've been studying and spending some time on.
Well, that's what it is. That's the red, far infrared. That's what I'm talking about. It's
Wait,
the.
did I totally miss that? Was I swear it's seltzer, everybody. Wait a minute. How did I miss that? Wait, when I think far infrared, I'm thinking something with lights.
It is with lights, and I can put it on. I just don't know what it will be like on the. And you can also get it to pulse, and there's 3 different. I can't get it there. 3 different modes, and so this has got red light. There is a little bit of blue, and so it's near red and far infrared.
Okay, so this is what I get for reading chat instead of paying intense attention to our panelists. I apologize, everybody. Hopefully we can edit that part out of tonight, but thank you for sharing that about the far infrared. I'm going to quickly move on to another topic because I'm embarrassed. Pattie, you're my saving grace. I'm going to you, girl. So you have started a Living with Stage 3 live discussion on, is it Instagram or Facebook?
It's on Instagram.
Tell us about that and what led you to begin this, which I think is such a wonderful project.
I have been, as you know, really into the fitness side. I use that as treatment for my lipedema. And I had found another person, stage 3 lipedema, also using fitness like I was. And it's Crystal from CFit Revolution. And we would follow each other and be commenting about things. And
she's awesome.
I love her.
I love her too.
We'd be behind the scenes kind of talking about, you know, how are you doing? And I went through menopause and she was having some arthritic problems with her knees. And we were both starting to kind of question as we get older, how are we going to continue with the fitness side? Are we going to have to look at other things like surgery? And seeing things like Pale Ginger Pear's journey has just totally changed my opinion personally for that. I know that's an individual decision that you have to make, but just seeing the smile on her face get bigger and bigger every time she comes out of a surgery really just kind of sat with me that we put up with just so much level of pain that we don't even realize what we live with every day. And so we kind of started talking about specifically stage 3 and the things that we are kind of coming up against, and how do we want to talk about that? Do we want to have an opinion about surgery? And, you know, for years, both of us have been like, no way, we're going to do fitness. We're going to power through this. We're going to stay active and keep our mobility. And we like to do that. That's something that we both enjoy on the physical side of it. But it was just a nice way to just have like an open discussion. And we figured there must be other, and you don't have to have stage 3. We have all types of conversations that kind of come up. And so we just started doing it like once a month. And then we had Pale Ginger Pear on, we've had Sarah Bramblett on, we've had, you know, we just had Crystal's PT on, who's like a specialist in chronic pain and myofascial release. And it's just wonderful topics that kind of come up. And the same thing, people ask questions, and it kind of is a very similar format, but kind of very, you know, fine-tuned to stage 3 and kind of those types of topics that we're going through.
Well, I love that it was born from your genuine heart to serve the lipedema community, and specifically those that are facing stage 3, although you don't just focus on that, but still, how can people find you and follow it and be there next time you're doing it?
Okay, so it's on, we go live on my page, on the Lipedema Fitness Instagram page. And there is some confusion because, you know, you register for this live here, but that's not how Instagram works. Instagram, you kind of show up on the person's page, they're going live, and you click on it. You can follow Lipedema Fitness. There's like a bell icon, you can click on it and then turn on the IGTV notification. And then you kind of get, like when you get a text, you get a little notification that says we're going live. So that's a way that you can do that. And I have a very cool announcement for next month. Crystal is bringing her trainer and I am bringing my trainer. So it's going to be all 4 of us talking for the hour that we do that. So
I love it. I believe that you and Coach and Crystal and her, I think you're going to be discovered. And I'll say, boy, remember when they used to come to our roundtables? But just, don't ever forget if you ever need, a moderator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow,
nobody does it better.
I am so happy and excited about the work that you're doing and the genuine heart that you always share. And, it is, Dr. Herbst, when you did Mind, Body, and the Matrix, you talked about how the lipedema patient often can be an empath or very sensitive. And I see that displayed in such beautiful ways here at the Roundtable. We laugh, we have fun, we talk about toilet humor and all that, but there is such genuine love and care. And I think that was really beautifully brought out in your presentation. Yeah. So I want to ask a question from Andrea Kosurha. Now, let's see if Brenda can say this properly. She has been using sublingual serrapeptase the last 2 months, and it seems to have helped soften her fibrosis. Should we continue taking this indefinitely, or is this something to take in intervals, like 1 month on and 1 month off? Would either of our medical professionals like to speak about this?
I've never done like intermittent enzymes, and I've never done sublingual enzymes, but I do know, and I think, Linda Ann will have something to say as well, that the tissue does really soften up. And I just found a paper, which it just popped up. I wasn't even looking for it, but I've been looking for it for a very long time to show that enzymes decrease fibrosis. And sure enough, I now have that paper. And Linda Ann, I will promise you, I will share that with you.
Thank you.
Or you might already have it. But the only thing about taking it indefinitely is that it does, quote unquote, thin your blood. It does break down the clots that can form, especially if you have chronic venous insufficiency or you do have very fibrotic tissue. And so it could be troublesome if you get a really deep cleaning at your dentist, or you're going to have a surgery. So I tell people stop at least 48 hours before any dental surgery or dental, even deep cleaning, and a week before any surgery. You kind of treat it like aspirin.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we'll look forward to hearing about that paper. Carol Moody is saying to everyone that she uses Fibrenza enzymes and they've really helped her fibrosis. So I see some nodding of heads there. We had a question that came in before the show began, and it was about pain. What can you do for pain when you can't tolerate anti-inflammatories because of all the side effects? Is there any personal experience here at the Roundtable or medical advice? I know, Cheryl, this is something that is important to you. And then Lippy Butterfly, you're next.
Right. Well, in my mind, potentially, well, at least for me, I don't think it's a really great idea to take NSAIDs. And I have seen some presentations in the Ehlers-Danlos community, and there is potentially a link between lipedema and Ehlers-Danlos. And in that community, it's believed that NSAIDs can block the production of collagen, and collagen is kind of the glue that holds everything together. So I've always kind of been try to stay away from them as well. So what I do is I use various supplements like boswellia, bromelain, turmeric, arnica for bruises, things like a TENS unit, just ice, of course, So it also kind of depends on what type of pain you have. If it's acute pain, if it's muscle pain, if it's joint pain. So, there's different types of supplements that you can use to kind of target different things as well. So.
Thanks for that advice. That's good stuff. What about you, Angelique? You said that you had something to add to that?
I think we spoke about this briefly before, but when I came home from the 2 years in a nursing home, we were in the middle of the opioid crisis, and the medical professionals were pushing to get me off of morphine and oxycodone. And here in Arizona, marijuana was legal medicinally. Now it's completely legal. completely. So I learned, especially over this past month, that marijuana really was controlling my pain very well. I spent a month in Indiana where marijuana wasn't legal. And so it was very rare for me to come across. And I noticed that my pain was completely through the roof. It was almost unbearable, but it helped me to see how much had been controlled over these past 2 years with THC and CBD.
I'm so glad that that is available to so many people now where it wasn't before. Linda Ann.
So for pain, absolutely the far infrared red light, and you can get smaller units, you can get all kinds of things. That's wonderful for pain. And then essential oils, helichrysum, copaiba, are just some of them, lavender. There's many, many more that will help a lot. And then CBD, you said the THC and the CBD, and you can also have CBD in creams, and that together with essential oils. So that really helps too.
Excellent. So we have some questions that, first of all, chat is hot tonight. We've got a lot of Team Pattie out there. I don't know, Pattie, they're all saying they love you. And of course we agree. Lanya Laval says, you ladies are strong, wonderful, and brave. And you know what we would say to all of you out there? You are strong, wonderful, and brave. We feel so honored that you gave us some of your time tonight, and we're not done. There's more questions to be had. This is one about vaccines. Tahila Milad, and I hope I said that properly, we're so glad you're here tonight, asks, why are folks with lipedema experiencing adverse effects on vaccines? Which I don't know if that's necessarily a blanket statement that can be made, but I'll continue. And start packing on extra fluid and gain weight. And is there a particular vaccine that should be sought by the lipedema community? I'm pretty sure she's probably referring to the COVID vaccine. We've talked about this in the past. Many of the people on our panel have been vaccinated. And does anybody want to weigh in on this particular question? Did you experience extra fluid and weight gain afterward? I'm seeing some no shake heads. Pattie?
Yeah, I didn't notice weight gain, but I definitely had reactions, both shots.
Yeah.
More so on the second one. And it was almost like a numbing sensation, kind of like washed over my face. And I could, it almost felt like you could just feel it moving through my body.
Yeah.
And I had like a dizziness that kind of hung around for a while, like a couple of weeks, but not just constant, but it would like, I'd feel, oh, I'm good. I've kind of moved past it. And then I'd kind of get hit with a little bit of like vertigo again. And then I'd move past it and then it kind of sneak back in. So yeah, I definitely had some reactions to it.
So I'm seeing in chat, some people have had some really bad side effects. I guess it's a blessing if you didn't. Any other thoughts about the vaccine? And is there a particular one that is, preferable? Holly Hope, fortunately, what a great name, Holly Hope. What a great name to grow up with. She got Pfizer, both shots with no reactions. And, so I don't think there's any blanket statements. Any other people want to weigh in or talk about this? We're not asking anybody to disclose whether they've been vaccinated or not or anything like that. We're just here. Go ahead, Linda Ann.
I did have a patient, but it was just one patient who came to me this past week, actually, and she put on 20 pounds. And she said it all started after the vaccine. She said, just saying, don't know if it really was. So I can't say that it was a result, but I was thinking in my mind, I wonder if this has happened to other people.
My goodness. I went on a bender in July and lost about, well, anyhow, go ahead.
When we had our discussions in the fitness group, most people did not have any kind of reaction to it. There were some of us that did, but the majority didn't seem to have them.
Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of chatter saying no reaction, no reaction, no reaction. We always say at the roundtables, it's not one size fits all. On any topic that we discuss, listen to your body and that's really all I'm going to say on that topic. I will move on because there was some chatter about flotation tanks on social media. And this is the one thing I can tell you I personally have done, and I found it to be awesome. Just the, I don't know, is it the salt in the flotation tank? Aches and pains went away. Has anybody else here done flotation tanks, and are they recommended for lipedema?
We just had one of our girls, Louise, post that in our group that she went, and just the drastic, like she did it before the tank and then after the tank. And just, she said it stayed from that night into the next day of reduced swelling. Okay. So she was really advertising for it.
And you can't bring your phone in the float tank. So you can't be distracted. You are really zenned out, and your mind, I'm not really good at meditating, but in a float tank, I mean, there's not much else you can do except really connect. So Linda Ann, do you have any thoughts on flotation tanks?
Well, it's just very zen. It's being mindful. And the same with pain or what all these other things. If you're just mindful and you breathe, you really can create a lot of peace in your body. And so I think just that letting go and that floating is amazing. Yeah. I don't know specifically for lipedema, but it's a very amazing thing to do.
Yeah. And someone asked, where do I find a flotation tank? Just Google it. You can find a local place. It's pretty prevalent. You can find them almost in any city, and it's really cool. Try it. You might like it. April Sluter, one of my favorite people out there, she has a Facebook group, Lovely Lipedema Ladies, and she wants to know about hydration. Is there they're doing a water challenge on her page. Is there any minimum amount of hydration required? They're all creating their own goals, but hydration, who would like to speak to that?
Well, if no one else wants to talk, I can talk. I mean, usually what we say to people is you take your body, your weight, you divide it in half, and then you take the 8 ounces. So you divide that by 8, and that's more or less what you should be drinking in a day. But it also depends, what else are you doing? Are you drinking or having a lot of soups? Are you having a lot of dense food? So it depends on that. Do you have a lot of juices, soups? So that's the standard.
Very good. Good advice. Do you, any of you have well, go ahead, Dr. Herbst.
I was just going to say that, we talk about the gel that sits within lipedema tissue in between the cells, and it makes it really heavy and it binds up salt and water. So they've shown that if you get an IV bolus, that gel comes out of the tissue. So you get, some saline in an IV, maybe because you were drinking too much the night before, or you were dehydrated, and that gel comes out of the tissue, and then you metabolize and excrete it. So I think keeping hydrated is super important, to just keep pushing that gel and flushing that gel through the tissue.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Especially with how hot it's been lately.
True. Definitely.
Very true. Good point. Yeah, this heat is really making things extra tough for so many of our population out there watching and engaging with the topic. And we had some questions about stimulating the lymphatic system, and is it possible to overstimulate the lymphatic system? So here's an example from one of our viewers. She will do 10 minutes on the vibration plate, but hear of other people that have been doing it for hours. I know everybody's different and we need to do what works best for us, but can you overstimulate the lymphatic system? Really interesting question. I would love to know what our medical professionals think about that. You're both being so polite. You don't want to jump in and step on each other. And I'm saying, jump on in. Go ahead, Dr. Herbst. Can you overstimulate the lymphatics?
I used to think that the lymphatics could go into a tetany, but I don't think so anymore. I think you can inhibit lymphatic pumping by building up a huge amount of pressure in the tissue, but it takes a lot. And I was just in Germany last week, and I was there with Dr. Belgrado from Belgium, and he's done a lot of work on using blood pressure cuffs to see how high he needs to pump them up to prevent lymphatics from pumping. And lymphatics are, even though they're so thin, and they still are made of connective tissue, they still have smooth muscle cells, they still pump. They're pretty amazing, and they can overcome really high pressures. But I have seen no data that they can become overstimulated. I think maybe your connective tissue could become a little bit overstimulated by all that vibration, but I'm not sure your lymphatics can.
And for someone who's using the vibration plate for an hour or so at a time, I guess the advice would be listen to your body, because your body will tell you when to stop, right?
Yeah, I have some ladies who wear their pump to bed, and when they wake up in the middle of the night, they turn on their pump and they pump some more. Is that too much? But that's what they like. They feel so much better when they wake up in the morning.
Well, we would add the caveat that we don't recommend pumping through the night. We do have an what's great about the LymphaPress is you can use your smartphone to control it, just like a remote control, right, PGP? Yes. And you can hit start, and right before you go, you can just hit stop and it'll stop. There's also an auto timer and all those things. But thank you for speaking to that. Holly Hope, did anybody else want to talk about go ahead, Pattie.
My concern would be more like eyes and things like that. Like I remember reading when I first looked into getting my vibration plate that you had to be careful for like detaching retinas and things like that. I don't know if that's changed since I got mine in 2014 when it was kind of a new thing versus what it is now. But yeah, I would look into that side, not just the lymphatics.
Very good. Go ahead.
And the whole body vibration units are so powerful that I don't think it's necessary to be on for an hour. You can be on for 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes if you want. And there's so many self-care things to be doing anyway. So that's just my take on it. I don't want my patients to be working for hours and hours and hours doing so many things. So I don't know that it's necessary.
Yeah.
But what you said was, yes, you have to listen to your body and see how you feel after you've done anything.
Yes. Very good. I want to, now, Angelique, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but you posted it on Facebook, so it's public, right? You had an experience at TSA when you were traveling. And would you mind sharing it? Because I think a lot of people in our audience can relate, and it just, you want to feel understood. So share your story.
Absolutely. The post that I made was actually a memory that popped up from about 10 years ago. And it just so happened that I was traveling to Indiana again this year around the same exact time. And it stood out to me quite a bit because of how frustrated I felt that day. I was going home to Indiana to visit my mom. We were going for a family reunion. It was the day of the family reunion, and going through TSA with bulges in my legs that were hard and tight. The TSA agent just assumed that there were bombs in my jeans. And
I'm glad you can laugh about it now, but at the moment, my heart.
It was honestly embarrassing. As it was, I didn't want to be seen anywhere. All I wanted to do was get from one point to the other point and not have anyone even notice how the bulges in my thighs were looking, let alone start touching them. And then I heard her loudly call for backup to come. And they came in, 2 people put their hands all over my body, and they kept asking me questions. And this was 10 years ago. So they were saying, well, what is this? And I looked at them like, I don't know what it is. If you can tell me what it is, help. But they were so certain that it couldn't have been human flesh. And I feel like that is really kind of an example of how I felt at that time, was that, wow, this bulge doesn't even feel like it's part of me. not like it's even human flesh. But I am so glad now, 10 years later, that my experience with TSA this time going was much more pleasant. I've said this 1,000 times as well. Southwest Airlines has a customer of size policy, and I know it sounds discriminatory to have an entire policy, but the fact that they have a policy means that their employees know what to look for. And so they actually held a flight for me on the way home because they knew someone of my size was coming, and TSA was ready to help usher me through. The gates were waiting. But I'm saying, once you understand what's going on with you and you understand how to work through the industry, things can be a little bit more pleasant for traveling. I've met a lot of women along this journey that feel like they're trapped in their homes and they can't do the things that they want to do with their lives. And I want to encourage them to travel. My experience 10 years ago is definitely not what my experience was this year. And there are ways that you can go about doing it and live the life that you want to live.
And Lippy Butterfly, that's why we love having you on this roundtable. I love that your experience is different than it used to be, but I'm appreciative that you shared it. Some people in chat have already saying, yep, been there, done that, had that happen at TSA. Tell me, Pale Ginger Pear, what's your take on this?
So obviously I've been traveling a ton out to California over the last year and a half. And this trip out was actually my worst experience I have ever had. I very vocally said about it as a redhead on my Instagram, my whole travel out. But from the start in Pittsburgh, there was no wheelchair assist people. Well, there was wheelchair assist people in Pittsburgh, but she clearly did not want to push me or the other lady that was waiting. They were like talking back and forth and like trying to see who was going to be stuck with us. It was very clear. I almost missed my flight because of it. I ended up being the fourth to last person to board. I had to go the whole distance of the plane. I was in the back row because that was the only spot left for 2 seats. And so nobody sits down when they first get on a plane. So I have to sideways shimmy the whole length of a plane to try to get a seat. And then when I get to Baltimore for my first like layover, they get on the phone on the plane and announce, there's wheelchairs, but we have no wheelchair assist people. You can push it yourself.
What?
Yeah. So luckily, and my leg had been bothering me going up to like surgery time. So I was limping pretty well, but luckily I got off and then I was getting back on the same plane. So I didn't have to like walk far. But yeah, it was a huge ordeal, both things. Now LAX had people to push, but like this was the worst experience I've had regarding it. I'm very vocal, so I have already reached out to the company that does the wheelchair assist and said, you know, I lucked out that I didn't need it. I set it up beforehand so that it's ready for when I'm coming home from surgery.
Yeah.
But that there are people that need it, and whether we look disabled that we need it, it's not your place to decide. If we ask for it, we need it. End of discussion. And I haven't gotten a response yet, but
you will. You will.
I will, because I'll keep sending messages.
And I have to say, I so admire, and as one of our viewers said earlier, you're brave. You're brave and you need to fight for yourself. And if you want to go somewhere, you should go and not let these challenges stop you. I'm so proud of who you are, that you don't let it stop you, and that Lippy Butterfly, you haven't let it stop you either. And hopefully change will be affected. We have to advocate for ourselves. That's exactly what April Sluter is saying out there. And we agree 100%.
Southwest was great. I will say, like, my whole trip with them, and that's the only one I really fly anymore because of the customer of size policy. They were discreet. They were very sweet. As I step in, I whisper to the flight attendant, I need an extender. They hand it to me. There's like no issue. It was the wheelchair assist at the airport that was horrible this time.
I have to agree with Kara there right now, especially if anyone is trying to travel right now. Every time I've went into IND this year, there has been absolutely no wheelchair assist. I've had to wait even up to an hour when I was there in January.
Wow, that's so frustrating.
If you know people who are not going back to work right now, be a friend and tell them to get back to work. Please.
Gotcha. And Francine Swartz is also saying, advocate for yourself, advocate for yourself. I have a question. Someone asked in chat, when were each of you diagnosed? How many years have you known you've had lipedema? Now, I can't answer that question, but would you mind going around the table? How long have you known you have had lipedema? Lippy Butterfly?
I actually spoke to a lady that I was in the nursing home with about this same topic earlier today.
Wow.
She has never received a proper diagnosis, but she has felt like she had it for 10 years, even back when I was in the nursing home with her and I didn't know that she had it, or I didn't know that I had it even.
Mm-hmm.
So my diagnosis of lipedema actually came about 4 years ago, but like I've said before, the symptoms for me started popping up. They were very, very clear with fibrosis at 25.
This gap between symptoms and diagnosis, and we are hoping to narrow that gap. The standard of care for lipedema in the United States, authored by our wonderful Dr. Herbst and Linda Ann Kahn and a whole group of amazing, wonderful people, is going to help to raise awareness and shift the paradigm so that hopefully more and more women can have a quick gap between symptoms and diagnosis. When were you diagnosed, Cheryl, with lipedema? How many years ago?
I first heard about lipedema in 2018, and I didn't get diagnosed until 2019.
Wow.
I was trying to go for a clinical trial. Well, I kind of figured that I had it with everything that I had read. And so I was just kind of going with that. So I may not have even tried to get the diagnosis, except that I was trying to get into that clinical trial and I needed a formal diagnosis for it.
This is, Marcia Witt said she had symptoms starting at age 11, but she didn't hear about it until 2020 when she was over 51 years old. How many years ago were you diagnosed, PGP?
So it was casually thrown out at me in 2012. I was getting rewrapped for new compression for my lymphedema. And I was complaining to the physical therapist that I was tired of being told to lose weight with nothing happening. And she didn't even look up from her paperwork and was like, "You're not going to lose weight. You have lipedema." And I was like,
my gosh.
And she was like, "It's special fat that doesn't really react to diet or exercise." But it was never like added to my chart. I would mention it to all my doctors locally. They were like, yeah. Or they would write like, "Patient thinks she has," and they would never. So technically my official diagnosis isn't until 2019 from Dr. Jamie.
I think look at what's happened in just a couple years though. It's like things are speeding up. It's like an awakening happening. And thanks to our shining lights here at this roundtable, it's happening faster and faster. Pattie, when were you diagnosed? How long have you known?
I was diagnosed in 2007, and I was already late stage 3 at that time.
Wow.
And I had been fighting to try to understand what was going on for years with my doctor. Wow. And had to find out by Googling big legs and finding a woman having a blog and sharing all the information, and was like, "Well, what about this?"
Wow.
And yeah, she pretty much washed her hands of me, and I had to just go find a physical therapist who was trained in Botter. And as soon as she saw me, she's like, "You've got lipedema stage 3 with lymphedema component as well."
And Linda Ann, you are in the medical profession.
So I was diagnosed in 1992 by my instructor while I was graduating to become a Dr. Vada lymphedema therapist. So that's why I've been so passionate about lipedema all these years.
Yeah.
I knew there was something wrong with me for years and years before,
Yeah.
but diagnosed me then.
You know, Francine Schwartz said something in chat that I think is important for us all to know and recognize. The standard of care is a game changer. The amount of work that went into this consensus document is monumental. People are now printing it out and taking it into their doctors. Was this your hope, Dr. Herbst?
Absolutely. And we are trying to come to a consensus to work on a larger manual that would have a lot more pictures, a lot more tables, just be a lot more explanatory, because we were limited in the number of words we could publish. And so we're,
That's so hard.
we had to like take out huge chunks of topics. And so we're hoping to put those all back in. So that's in the works.
If anybody is interested and maybe doesn't know about the standard of care, everybody who registers, I will send you a link to it. It's right on the lymphapress.com website. We are proud and honored at the AVLS conference in October to host a breakfast celebrating the standard of care. Dr. Herbst is going to be our speaker, and we want to educate everybody in that room that there is not just such a thing as lipedema, but there are ways to manage it effectively so that more and more women can be helped. I can't thank you all enough. We are 4 minutes away. So words of encouragement. We're going to do a quick words of encouragement. Go ahead, Cheryl. What would you say to our audience tonight?
Geesh, I didn't really prepare anything. So I guess I'll just go back to my standard. You can control your lipedema. I'm big on food sensitivities. So if any of you are interested in that, please come on over to my group. I do believe that there is a connection between lipedema and food sensitivities. And if you control those, you might be able to control your lipedema.
Great words of encouragement. Go ahead, Pattie. How would you encourage our wonderful audience?
We've been talking a lot about being positive. You know, we tend to break down workouts into 10-minute increments or smaller, and just being proud of every amount of effort you can do, because it's all effort. And there's no, I just did this or I only did that. You're doing it.
That's so powerful. Pale Ginger Pear, what would you say to encourage everybody?
Just that as much as it feels like it, you're not alone. 1 in 11 women have this. Like, there are many, many, many of us, and we understand and we get the need to vent. So reach out, because like, we've all been there. We've all felt that, like, nobody believes me, why bother? We believe you. We definitely believe you.
We believe you. And yes, you should bother. The Lippy Butterfly.
Well, as you guys might know, if you follow me, I've been pretty much Black on social media for over a month now. I'm in the process of moving, and part of this process, I spent a month in Indiana. And what I learned this month was that your lipedema does not take a day off. So you have to take time for your lippy body every single day, even if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, a mental health break, whatever it takes. You cannot concentrate on the woes of life continuously when you have a lipedema body. You have to give your lippy body attention and love and care, and spend some time with the community, at least with us once a month.
Totally. I love that advice. Linda Ann Kahn.
My message is to continue to be warriors, W-A-R-I-O-R-S, and be strong and be educated. And just remember, 1 foot in front of the next. Every progress is good. You're not going to achieve everything overnight, but just slowly, and you will get there and learn to love your body.
Perfect. And of course, we'd love to end with you, Dr. Herbst. Any words of encouragement for our wonderful audience?
I would say continue to love yourself. Don't forget to tell yourself that you love yourself, every day, and you forgive your fat. You still love it because it's part of you, and let food be your medicine. When whatever you put into your mouth, make sure it's a loving action moment.
And with that, we do our heart bows and appreciation to everybody at the round table tonight, those on the panel and those of you out there. Be good to yourself. You are loved. You are valuable. You are important. And we sure hope we'll see you next month at the round table. Have a great night. See everybody. Mwah. Hugs and kisses to everybody.